Alright, so I've been playing a little bit of Zenith The Last City, the new MMORPG for VR, made by the Ramin VR Studios, and I've been enjoying it. I haven't played that long, but I feel like I can already give you a good first impression. So, let's start with the overall feel of specifically the VR. And of course, if we compare it to the game I just played, which is Hitman 3, this one just works very well. Just does what it's supposed to and feels good without causing any motion sickness or any issues. So it's not extremely innovative, but it does the job as you expect it to do, and it works. I haven't felt any motion sickness, and I really like the way that the mobility works, with specifically the gliding and the climbing. So for the gliding, as long as you're in the air, you can spread your arm in a T-pose and you start gliding, and as long as you have enough stamina, then you keep gliding. And for the climbing, you can basically grab onto any surface and kind of climb up or down, however you want, as long again as you have enough stamina. So it really feels very good to explore the world and be able to basically go anywhere by simply, jumping, gliding, then reaching some kind of cliff and being able to just grab onto it. So then, in terms of the combat, I've been mostly playing the Essence Mage, which is your long-range mage class out of the two available, the other one being the Blade Master. And the way that it works is you have two basic, some type of like magical guns that you can use and you can hold in one of each hand. And then you obviously have your abilities. And what's interesting is the way that you cast abilities. So the way that most abilities are cast is you just press the grip in your controller and then do a motion either down, left, up, or right, and that will give you the different abilities. For now, I've only unlocked 3 abilities. One of them cast moving your hand down, another one casted moving your hand up, and another one using the trigger whenever you're not holding anything, and it just casts a fireball that you have to physically throw. So overall, the combat feels pretty good. Of course, I cannot really talk about how blocking or hitting weak points work too well, because it doesn't work the same way, and you cannot block with the Essence Mage. But overall, in terms of the casting and so on, it feels nice. It feels very satisfying whenever you can line up multiple abilities and have them hit multiple enemies. It is interesting that you have to make a choice. You do not seem to be able to cast abilities while holding the weapon. And it seems like you can only cast the fireball with your right hand, or at least I've only been able to do so myself. So I ended up playing mostly with my left hand with the weapon, a free right hand to cast abilities, which I find kind of interesting to have to do these choices. And whenever I find myself without any mana, then I switch to having both weapons, and I can fire with that. And overall, the feel of the combat is quite nice. Of course, the getting hit doesn't have a massive impact. You do have a little bit of that red effect around it. I am, of course, looking forward to unlocking new abilities and maybe being able to customize my class a little bit more. So then, in terms of crafting, for now it seems like there's only really one, let's say, crafting profession, which is the cooking, which works by spawning a cooking station at any point anywhere, really, and starting by choosing a recipe, and then you have to basically process each ingredient however it's telling you to. And for now, I've only been able to cook cookies, which made me need to first warm up some milk, which you have to just throw it into a pot and then keep the temperature at a specific level so that it doesn't burn. Then you have to brown some flour, and you do that by throwing it into a pan and then flipping it again so that it doesn't burn. And once those 2 ingredients are done, you can just throw them into the cauldron, add some sugar into the cauldron as well, and you've got your cookies. This type of cooking looks kind of fun, and I think it's a big advantage of what is possible in VR, where you can make things a lot more interactable and a lot more like physics based, and actually you having to do the things, which seems kind of cool. But outside of that, there isn't anything else similar to that. The other type of quote-unquote crafting are small stations that you can find throughout the world, and specifically in cities, which allow you to improve and potentially craft weapons and armor. But those simply work by as long as you have the ingredients, you can just craft them without having any other extra interaction. So then in terms of content, I can't really speak too much about it, but for now the missions that I have been doing have been kind of like nothing out of the ordinary in terms of like MMO quests, right? Go to point A, go to point B. You had specific gliding missions which made you, having to travel through different rings and so on. And then you had your basic kill X amount of, or gather X amount of these resources, these enemies. So of course I haven't gotten to the point of doing any dungeon or really like grinding for specific gear or anything. So outside of these small missions, I can't really speak too much. I have been spending most of my time doing these kind of missions of going to point A to point B because I found the exploration quite fun. And it does seem like the world is quite big, so there's going to be a decent amount of that, I hope. And you can also find some somewhat hidden chests throughout the world, which make exploration even more fun. So then to talk about the graphics a little bit, I do like the way that the enemies and the items and weapons and so on look, but it is true that the environment does look a little bit dated and could benefit from having slightly better textures. But I do understand that for a VR game, and specifically a VR game that has to run on the Quest, that could be a little bit too taxing. But this does allow the game to run well and to have very long vistas, which is pretty cool. So finally, in terms of my overall impression of the game is fun, but it does seem to require a little bit of extra polish. The game can feel a little bit janky sometimes, especially in terms of the UI. The UI would definitely benefit from another pass, especially some of the shops in town do look like they're using very basic Unity UI and could definitely benefit from being improved, as well as the way that the UI works in order to change gear and so on. There isn't even a way to easily compare different gear with the gear that you have equipped at the moment, which could be a nice addition. Outside of that, I would really love to see just more classes and maybe more crafting as well. So instead of only having the cooking to be an actual like mini game, to have other like gear crafting and item crafting to also have a similar way of crafting items would be quite nice. Of course, this game did release in early access, so we can expect a lot of those improvements. More classes have already been confirmed, and I'm not really sure about crafting, but we can definitely expect improvements to be made and updates to be added to the game as time goes on. So yeah, overall I enjoy it. I look forward to any other update that is going to come out. I will definitely keep an eye out for it. And yeah, so that was it. Thanks for watching and see you next time.